The following podcast is intended for adult audiences. You can also watch the interview on YouTube. See the show notes for more information. I am Robert Black, and you are listening to Sexual Heroes.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Today I've got with me Dr. Jallen Ricks and Father Marc, and we're going to be talking about what to expect at a male masturbation event and what you need to know to fit in. First, though, let me introduce each of them to you. So let's see, I'm going to read their bio from our Palm Springs Jacks website because both Jallen and Marc are admins along with me. Okay, so Dr. Jallen Ricks is our it takes care of event coordination and ticketing for our club. Jallen holds a doctorate of education in sexology. His private practice includes sex coaching, sacred intimacy workshops, intensives, and body work. I think I kind of got a comma not right there. So sacred intimacy workshops, intensives, and body work. You can learn more about his unique style of authentic sexuality on his YouTube channel and OnlyFans page. And you can visit his homepage, drrix.com, and that's drrix.com. And again, we'll have a link in the show notes, and it'll have everything that we're talking about today. All the links will be there. Father Marc, wave. Okay. Father Marc takes care of event and volunteer coordination for our club. Father Marc is a phallic priest, ordained and elevated into a leadership role of the Phallic Brotherhood in 2018. He and his husband Stefan host events dedicated to helping men discover the joy of their sexuality without shame or guilt. Father Marc has worked in porn and as an escort since 1997. He will soon be launching his own Just for Fans page.
Woo-hoo.
Naughty you. Okay. Then there's me, Robert Black. I take care of membership and digital media, and I am a retired RN, now working for myself as a consultant and masseur. I am host of Sexual Heroes podcast, obviously, and YouTube videos, and I publish erotica now on Substack. I have been an adult entertainer since 1998, and I currently perform on Chatterbait and create content for Just for Fans. And you can visit my homepage at robertblackxxx.com. And I do want to mention Austino. Austino is a backup administrator and volunteer. He is the one that typically greets all of our members as they come into an event. Austino is a sacred intimate, erotic body worker, tantra teacher, and facilitator, and he uses pleasure and intimacy as a powerful tool for healing and personal growth with an array of one-to-one couples and group sessions. And he also offers spray tanning service. And his website link is austin-o.com. And again, all the links will be in the show notes. All right.
What a group.
What a group. All of this sex has been a big part of our lives, like not just our own personal sex, but sharing it with other people is a big part of our common experience for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So masturbation jacks clubs.
Yes.
Do one of you want to speak to like what is it? What are the jacks?
Okay. Uh, you can go to pretty much any big city in almost in the world, but mainly Western world, and find groups of guys who enjoy getting together. They don't want to deal with any of the anal or they might be a little concerned about maybe contracting STIs or whatever. But even beyond the cautionary aspects of different kinds of sex, they really enjoy just masturbating, and for whatever reason, and it's their go-to sexual activity. And over the past 50 years or so, we realize we are not alone. And so these groups in big cities, mainly because that's, there's just kind of critical mass of how many people can get together, but it's certainly not limited to big cities. But you find the bigger groups in bigger cities that get together once a month, once a week, in a safe environment, and just get together and bait, as they call it, as in masturbate. And usually there's some, ground rules. Um, the whether it's a kind of, like a sex club where you just, as they say, get in, get off, get out. It can be as social or as anonymous as you like. Some groups are more ritualized, where they all get together at the same time. They all start at the same time. Sometimes they even count down to see if they can all come at the same time. So it just depends upon the group, and depends upon what you want out of that experience. Will kind of determine whether you're going to go to just kind of a social place where you go in and you play and you leave, or you're part of a group that gets together intentionally and kind of creates ritual. Just depends on what you want to do.
Mhm.
I think that the one thing that I love about it is that not only are there gay men, but there are bi men and straight men as well that come to this on a regular basis. There are a lot of men that just like to look at other men's cocks and date together, and I love that part of it.
And I think the New York Jacks was the first Jacks club. And as
There's debate, but whatever.
oh, there's debate. Okay. All right. Okay.
But for the most part, yes, that's probably
Okay.
true. And yeah,
Uh,
official, I mean, if we
more
get
official.
together forever,
Right. Right.
but yeah,
Yeah.
that would advertise and have a regular time and things like
Yeah.
that.
And now there are Jacks clubs, as Jallen said, everywhere. They're all over the world. And there's a big one in Seattle, the Rain City Jacks. They're everywhere. And there's a map on our website if you want to locate one, see if there's one near you. Okay. Did you want to add anything else?
I guess it's also become kind of superpowered these over the past few decades, mainly because people have been finding each other online.
Mm.
And with the rise of video chats and things like that, there's been added a whole new dimension, and especially the site Bait World, where many of us found for the first time that we weren't the only ones that liked debate. And in fact, there were guys all over the world. And you could jump right on a little video cam and connect with those people on the other side of the planet in real time. And so that has really been kind of brought even more national attention to the fine art and pleasure of self-pleasuring. So yeah,
I think the pandemic might have boosted it
that's
also.
true too. Yeah.
I have been talking to a therapist about the Jacks Club, and he says that he likes to introduce or have his clients that have self-esteem issues and that type thing. He likes to have them go to a Jacks Club as well, because it is a safe place. It is a place where you aren't intimidated, and it is a place where you can just be free as far as you want to, or as little as you want to. And he has found that every client that he has sent to a Jacks Club has come back with raving reports and feeling so much better about themselves. So,
Yeah.
The Jacks clubs especially are known to be very inclusive.
Yeah.
correct. Yes.
You're going to feel welcome.
Yeah.
And whatever you have pictured in your mind that you're going to walk in and see a certain type of person, it's it's just
It could
people.
happen.
Like you are going to fit in because you are a person too. It's
Right.
just,
Right.
it's people people will write when they apply to our club and say something about being nervous about going to their first event. And yeah, you're going to be nervous, but just,
Yeah.
it's going to last for like till 10, you're in the door for 10 seconds and you're going to be like, oh, this is pretty cool.
Yeah. And I mean, I think when there's a Jacks club and there are people like us who are kind of overseeing it, that makes it distinctly different from just going. I mean, we have our here in Palm Springs, we have our Jacks club in a sex club on a private night. And you could go to that sex club any night they're open, but you're not going to have people like us who understand the experience that want to make it inclusive. Those sex club nights away from the Jacks, they're inclusive as well, but you're kind of left on your own, right? And people may or may not be respectful of your space. They may walk right up and think that just because you're in this space that they can touch you all you want, and that tends to intimidate people. For other people, they love that, but that's why a Jax, it can be a real first step out of the sexual closet for people, because usually, not every place, but usually there will be people like us and volunteers that are making sure that the space is safe, and that you're gonna, if you wanna show up and dive right in, you can do that. If you want to show up and just watch, kind of stand off in the corner and watch everybody else do the thing, and you kind of enjoy yourself, you can do that too. It's we really try to make it much more inclusive, overtly.
And
I'm sure you understand that too.
because Jack's clubs do get bi men, straight men, as well as gay men, pansexual men, there is structure because people are seeking different things at that event. So when you bring everybody together, you have to make sure that nobody's boundaries are crossed. And I guess we can go into that now, like etiquette and
Why don't
you
you,
need to
yeah,
know
kind of
when you
explain
go
the
to an event.
rules maybe a little bit?
Yeah.
No below the hips and that type of thing.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the no lips below the hips? Because that is kind of the most, I think, the one rule that most connects all of the Jacks clubs.
Yeah. Yeah. Say it again, just real clearly.
Yeah. No lips below the hips.
So that means no blowjobs, no rimming. Depending on the clubs, there may be some flexibility, but in general, that's kind of how you know where the line is.
Yeah. And it's no penetrative sex.
There you go.
Except for kissing, if you consider that penetrative sex.
And if you want to.
And if you want to, right. Yeah. The other thing is, let's talk about consent, because that is
Sure.
the most important rule. When you want to talk about consent?
Yeah. It's very easy that when activity starts going and people subdivide in smaller groups and things like that, it's very easy to just assume that since everybody's touching, that you can just walk up and touch too. And for some groups, it's pretty, that's some groups have a whole code, and they have little wristbands. Red means I do not want to be touched. Yellow means ask first. Green means no holds barred. I don't care. You can touch me all over. It doesn't matter. I tend to have challenges when it comes to remembering the colors and what they mean. You have green. What does that mean? I have to, where we've kind of made a rule, at least for our Jacks, is that you just ask. You just ask. And it can be a subtle ask. You walk up, you look them in the eye, you say, hey, is this okay? And if they nod, or if they're playing with someone and they look over at you and they give you a nod, there you go. There's consent right there. So it's not always exactly walking up, hi there, may I touch you?
Right.
It might be, but There's all kinds of ways to get consent, but you also know when someone walks up to you and doesn't ask for consent and they just start touching you. And there's nothing wrong with saying, whoa, 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 thank you. I'm doing fine. I don't really want someone to touch me right now, or whatever you want to say. It is also just as important to feel okay about saying no or changing your mind. Maybe you give someone consent and they are just all over you and you're like, I'm overwhelmed. You get to say, no, thanks. I've had enough. Appreciate it. Certainly be nice about it. But then there are also times that people are not nice about it, and or they're going to touch you anyway, and they're not listening to you, and that's when you want to grab one of us or one of the volunteers, or even be even more. I've had to grab someone's hand very clearly, nice and firmly, and look him in the eye and I said no.
Yeah.
But that is such a rare occurrence.
It's a rarity. Yep.
Yeah. The important thing that you need to know is you are empowered for your own body to say yes and no whenever you want, whether or not someone is asking for consent. But in our group, we try to ask for consent first.
I think one way that people sort of mean well, but fall into the trap that they think that there's consent, but there's not. Like somebody is maybe watching a few other guys all touching each other, and they walk over and just reach in there. That's not because other people have given consent to each other does not mean that you can enter that
right
relationship and just
Right.
start touching. So
Right.
you need to be sure that you have
Yeah.
consent.
Some people are having a moment and they don't want anybody else in that
Right.
circle. I always try to say, let's try it. You can't but subdivide into small groups. There's no way to avoid that. That's fine. But I also, at least in these groups, I like to kind of say, hopefully a group is not so tight that someone can't walk up and join if they want, get consent. Or you on the other reverse side, a group can be so tight that you can't step out. You're so stuck in there, and someone, you know, gentleness, gentle, if that makes sense.
And another important thing to know, I personally, and people are sometimes surprised to hear this, but I am not really into mutual masturbation. I don't want somebody else stroking me. I'll stroke somebody else. That's great. I love edging other guys. But I prefer to stroke my own dick. And it's because when you stroke your own dick, there's an instantaneous feedback loop. You are both the giver and receiver of pleasure. And when that loop is broken for me, I lose it. Like it's over. So I need to just take care of myself. So people will sometimes come up and ask to touch me, and two things can happen. They're reaching for my dick as they're asking, and then I have to kind of push their hand away. So there's this assumption that, of course, he's going to say yes. No, people sometimes say no, and they do it for different reasons. I just gave mine. Um, one way that I handle it when someone is reaching or asking for permission, because if I do say no, they'll often like, okay, and they'll turn and walk away. Well, just because I don't want you to touch my dick doesn't mean it's not okay to interact with me or be in the same space. So I'll often say something like, uh, you can play with my nipples, but I prefer to stroke my own dick. And then usually that they're like, oh, okay, he's open to interacting, but just don't touch his dick.
Yeah, you can always preface it, just like you said, oh, I'm touching my own dick, but you can, play with my balls or whatever the case is.
Right.
It's not just a clean yes or no every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marc, Father Marc, did you want to add anything?
The only thing that I would add, I'm a hugger and I love to hug. And when people come to the Jack's events and that type of thing, I'm right in there ready to hug. And I have to pull back sometimes because I know there are an awful lot of people that aren't like me, that don't want that hug when they walk through the door. They feel that's really invading their privacy or their space. And so I have to pull back, and that's very difficult for me. But I'm learning. I'm getting there, and I'm learning just like everybody else in the club does, about asking for consent, even when it comes to things like a hug. So
Yeah.
the other thing for me, and I'm kind of like Robert here, I love to jack off. I love to jack off myself. I don't mind somebody jacking me off for a short time. But when I get close to coming, if anybody touches my butt or anything like that, it's an instant turn off, and I lose my erection, and that's it. I just have to walk away. It's like, don't play with my butt, don't play with my balls, just let me jack off and do my own thing. So everybody has their own, um, what do I want to say, their trigger, I guess. Um, and we just need to be aware of that and be conscious of that and be respectful of that more than anything.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. I think if people go into an event for the first time, or people who have been going, our own members, I think when you go in and you have that understanding, oh yeah, there's a lot of guys in here that don't think the way I do. Like
Mhm.
I can't make assumptions about everybody because everybody
Right.
is coming with a different perspective,
Mhm.
wanting something different, being comfortable with different things. And that's why we have the structure that we do. I think it will make it easier for you to be a good Jax member, just knowing that in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
would 100%.
You had mentioned something earlier, Robert, that it's very easy, especially hugging, when you see someone you know and you want to hug, right? And this motion already kind of obligates them to kind of like, oh, he's already reaching out, so I just might as well say, yeah, even if they don't want it. And it's hard to do, especially when, oh, can I touch? My hand's already going out there. It's really hard to do, but if we're going to give people really the option to say no, we need to kind of just I have to kind of I put my hands on my legs and I lean in. Hey there, can I give you a hug? And then that way I'm not already obligating them. And I know this is like really nitty
Yeah.
gritty stuff, and all kinds of variations on this happen in the real moment that work in everything, all kinds of ways of making it work, but it's really just being able to affirm people. And I guess another thing that I try to do that helps me with that is that uh, all of us have done a lot of touching over the years, and especially body workers. I mean, thousands of bodies I have worked on and healed and touched and things like that. And over time, I think you get a sense, almost like a psychic awareness of the motivation when a person touches. You can tell when someone touches you and they want something from you. You can tell when someone is touching you and they're giving something to you. They're being generous with themselves. I try to approach all those environments and all that touching as if it's a gift I'm giving from myself. And they have the choice whether to say no or yes. They can decide whether they receive it. But um, if I just that little attitude or that change in my thought process, because quite frankly, we're having a good time and we're all horny, and you see a guy and you're like, oh, it's gonna make me so aroused if I can touch that guy.
Mhm.
I'm not, that there's nothing wrong with that assumption. There's nothing wrong with having that desire, but you're assuming upon them, and you need to just be careful with that.
Yeah.
And it's a much better approach to be able to, oh, I'm going to add to that guy's experience rather than thinking he's only there for my pleasure.
Yeah.
And those subtle feelings can be felt. Is that
Yeah.
too woo woo? I don't know.
No, yeah, sounds good. On the other side of this, sometimes I think people can go overboard when someone does touch without permission in correcting them.
Mm,
They are so offended and so incensed, and becomes very hostile, and it's not necessary. If someone touches you, the best thing to do is look at it as an education opportunity,
there you
because
go.
you don't know what that person's experience is. Is this their first time? Are they kind of just getting into the habit of asking for consent? So, consider yourself an educator. If you're at a Jax event and somebody does touch you, use it. go into it thinking I'm going to provide this person with education, not I'm going to punish this person.
Right.
Because that, we want everybody to feel comfortable and learn.
Right.
And yeah.
Right. I very much try to, oh, no, thanks. Appreciate that, and then just make sure I move away or whatever. But obviously, there are people that could be highly triggered by something like that. And maybe they
Mm,
can't. And if that's you, maybe you're not ready to be in that kind of environment. That if someone were to just accidentally touch you and you were to freak out, sounds like you need some more work to understand, to heal. And Jax can certainly be a place to do that. But obviously none of us want to have a big old scene or anything like that. We want it to be a positive experience for you.
yeah.
So that's really something you can determine for yourself.
Overwhelmingly, the feedback I get from people who go to our Palm Springs Jacks for the first time, and maybe they've never been to any type of masturbation event, they are just blown away. They have a great time, and they're sold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have to agree with that too. Yeah.
Yeah. And there are some groups that are very, 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 very structured. Every person has to go through an orientation in person before they can come into the group, and they have volunteers teaching them all the points and the different colors of bands and everything like that. And that's great. That works for them. I feel really good that we have found what I guess I would call a middle ground, and we've even now we have introduced one kind of band, and that's the green band. And it's very clear, everybody is educated. That green band means no holds barred. If you want to be touched and you have a green band on, anybody can come up and touch you, and you like that. That's what you want.
Mhm.
But anybody else who does not have a green band, you have to ask. And everybody else, you have to ask. And that middle ground has
It
worked
seems to be
for
working.
some people. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
worked for most people.
And people have mentioned having other bands, and we have tried using multiple bands in the past, and we found that it's confusing, but also because of the lighting in the club, just practically,
Oh
you
yeah,
can't tell the bands apart. Everything looks the same.
right,
So one band that works for us.
right. And I'm always someone like, it's like name tags. For different groups and things like that. That's very convenient to have a name tag, especially if they have a bad memory like me that I can't remember names. But then that sidetracks the whole opportunity of connecting with someone. You take that opportunity to say, hey, you know what? I really enjoy getting to know you. Could you remind me of your name? Because that is an opportunity of connection rather than
Hmm.
silence that comes from, just looking at the name. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Hmm.
I'm always going to lean towards, hey, let's connect, let's communicate.
Hmm.
So, um, and we even in those environments, you get me talking, you just wind me up, and I'll just go. But even in those environments, we've been taught to masturbate in silence and and that kind of actually enhances shame. And
Mm.
it is kind of funny that the Jack's parties are often pretty quiet, and nothing wrong with that. But there's also nothing wrong with making a lot of noise. I mean, I've even heard guys come really strong and loudly at the Jacks, and then afterwards you hear, "Yeah," There's nothing wrong with celebrating who we are as sexual beings in that manner,
And
and can be very healing.
and then there's also just being verbal
Oh
and
yeah, all that.
coaxing, coaching other people, encouraging other people,
Yeah,
is can be really
yeah.
fun and erotic.
Very hot.
Be very careful what we say here on YouTube, but
Yeah. Um,
cool.
just leave the knitting talk for home. Knitting and
Right.
politics. Let's not
Yeah.
talk about that at a Jack's
Yeah.
event.
Yeah. Yeah. I have one. I don't know if it's been in our group ever, but I have been in other groups. And that people are social and they like to be, they're around people, and at these groups they're around people, and some people that gives them the cue to, they're talkers. And so they start talking about what they did on their vacation and all this and that story and politics, and then
Mhm.
and I've had to go, hey, I need to focus a little more.
Yeah.
Could you not talk about that right now? And they understand.
Also, getting into using words, and we talked about the bands. Recently, it was suggested to us the white band for people who want other people to come on them. And I am one of those people that loves to have other people come on them. I think some of others in this conversation like that as well.
Yes.
And obviously, we can't do it. It's confusing. The lighting, they'd never figured out.
Yeah, the white band
But
will look red in the red lighting.
but
So
the thing, my question is, if not a question, here's what I do. When I'm in the mood to let anybody come on me, I get a little mat, I park it on the floor, I get in a space where it's obvious I want people to come over there, and it happens. So, when you're at an event and there's something specific that you want, like use your body language. You take advantage of the space to kind of communicate that and get what you want. I sure got what I wanted. It was
yeah.
fun.
Look
And
like a baby bird that wants to be fed.
I have, yes, I too have, like, I like to mingle and, play a little here and play a little there. And, I can see guys getting close. Maybe I'm helping that or enhancing that. And I just lean in and I say, they're like, oh, I don't want to come just yet. I said, well, later, if you see me on my knees, that means you can come all over me. So, and I'll even kind of say it out loud. Oh, I'm gonna get on my knees now.
Yep.
Just so everybody knows. And
Mhm.
I get on my knee and it's glazed donut time. So it's lovely.
I don't know. I think we kind of covered everything that I had in mind. Is there anything else
Beautiful.
anything else you can think of?
I can say that Jax is probably the highlight of my month, being involved with it and being there and watching other men. I love looking at the smiles of men's faces, as they're coming in, as they're coming, as they're leaving. It just is a wonderful, first of all, it's a sense of pride for me because I'm involved with the the two of you, three of you with it, Ostino.
Making it happen.
Yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful experience, and I would encourage anybody that has never tried it to try it.
And I just want to give a shout out to volunteers, not just at our club,
Oh my
but
God,
but
yeah.
all the volunteers all around the world at all of these clubs that make it happen. Because really, without them being there, just encouraging people, especially new people that are coming in, being there to answer questions, to smile, to give a hug if it's okay. Uh, it's so important to have those people designated as volunteers, that liaison.
And I love having my volunteers because they're usually pretty much the same people. I have a little bit of a rotation, but certainly anybody that comes to Jack's more than once or twice will begin to see those
Mm,
familiar faces. And it's nice to have a familiar face when you're coming into a room full of 50, 70 people and you don't
right,
know anybody.
right.
So,
Good point.
Yeah. I guess I would
that's
also say
appropriate.
that it's still there's with this growth or of a movement or whatever, there's all kinds of ways that you can connect out there. There are the evening once a month evening thing that we put on, but there's also things like Healthy Friction, which is a whole weekend you can go to. There's the Cock Summit if you really want to try your first steps in a safe space. Um, that happens a couple of times a week, a retreat where you get away from the regular,
Mhm.
rigmarole of your life and you're completely free out in nature to go for it. And there's all kinds of ways that you can, stick your dick in it, so to speak, not just your toe, but your dick, stick your dick in it to see what works best for you. And yeah, go for it.
Mm,
Woohoo.
all right. Well, anybody who's listening, if you want more information about masturbation clubs, being a baiter. We have a Baiter 101. There's all kinds of resources on our PalmSpringsJacks.org website. If you go, I think it's under, let me look right now, just to be sure. There's a tab
Thank
that
you,
says
Robert.
Baiter Info. We have on there uh, the map with the worldwide clubs. There's a library of podcasts and books and videos to look at, information on sexual health. And then we have Baiter 101, which is kind of a glossary of terms in the bait subculture. And if you get those down, you're going to fit right in. And yeah,
Is there an events page, Robert? Did you create that?
the events page
Yeah.
for
For
ours.
other events, like, yes, for other events like Healthy
Uh,
for
I think there's
or
a locations
Talk
resource.
Summit.
yeah, you go to their website and then you can find that out. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could, there are links from the map to go to that club's website and you can learn more about them specifically.
Great.
And then finally, there is a page, our admin team. Just go to Palm Springs Jacks. This is to find out about any of us. If you want to reach out to us, our individual contact information is there. Just go to palmspringsjacks.org/contact. All of our links are there, all of our contact information.
Love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Me too.
Right. Well, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Robert.
And I'm going to see you next Monday.
Monday. Yeah.
Yep.
Be there.
At our next Palm Springs Jacks event.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Thanks for listening and watching.
Bye.